Okay, Oval fans. Now, one of the semi crash out moments I had in my episode reviews was the notion of characters making it seem like several months have passed since the beginning of the series. In episode 12, you had Sam telling Eli his little affair or fling with Victoria only happened on two occasions. In terms of sexual activity, the first being July 8th, and then he chose to end things on August 8th. And then Max in episode 13 told Bobby the last time there's been known correspondence of Victoria's father, being on the phone or anything like that was about 3 months ago, implying that he may have already died and they're pretending that he's still alive with someone else behind the scenes pulling the strings. I I'm saying this as someone who has watched and reviewed slash broke down all 126 episodes of this show. There is no way on God's green earth you can convince me that between the pilot episode where you had the inaugural ball, which usually takes place, January 20th ish? Essentially, late January. You cannot convince me that between that episode and season 6, episode 13, we are somehow already in like the month of October, so to speak. Because if Sam, I think I know that Victoria went down on Sam in her bathroom. I think it was like in the penultimate episode or the season 1 finale. So episode 24 or 25 of the first season. And then Priscilla has been a complete B word ever since season 2. And that's when I stopped liking her. But then they also had relations in the yellow room. And there's no way that a month had passed since the end of season 1 to... Look, I can't tell you exactly when these two did what they did in the yellow room. I know it was during season 2, but the Oval has been pretty consistent about the show. When we have a cliffhanger ending at the end of a season, we pick up exactly where we left off in the following season. And this is the point I really want to drive home. This show is notorious for, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, comparing it to, let's say, Have and Have Nots, as Loving You Is Wrong and whatnot, but I think I'm correct in saying this show has the slowest timeline of any Tyler Perry show ever. Because we will spend 8 to 12 episodes, and this is something that has happened more than one time. We will spend 8 to a dozen episodes in the same day. And when I say same day, I don't even mean like the span of 24 hours. I'm talking about like, hey, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then next thing you know, it's like 2 or 3 a.m. Because that's when characters are like, yeah, I got to go home because I got to be at work at like 5 or 6. And I mean, I don't know how in the world these people function. Because even when they do clock out, one or two things happen. They get called back to the White House because of some emergency, or something's going on with a friend outside of work, and then it's like, oh, Richard can't sleep because Sam can't sleep because he has to check on Richard, or he needs to go to a cabin to check on Jason because he's off the grid. And it's just like, what? So this has been consistent about the show. And to try and convince me that season 1, episode 1, late January, when the president, Hunter got sworn in and everything, and then we spent a lot of time, moving the family into the White House. to then just randomly say, oh yeah, it's been months since so-and-so happened. No, 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 no. And then Victoria's father was introduced physically at the end of season 2, being all sickly and whatnot. And then once or twice we heard him over the phone. Well, either we heard him or Victoria or someone else would be on the phone and it was her father. No, you just cannot. So, okay, here's a question for you. How long have Kareem and his cousin been in the bunker, in that cell? Because Sharon, she was gone for all of what? She got arrested in late season 4. She was absent from season 5 and came back into the show late into the first half of season 6. And when she got out, she told them, oh, I was just locked up for a couple of days. Meaning that the events of season 5 only covered the span of like 36 to 48 hours. So no, Jeremy, Tyler, I don't care. You cannot convince me that over half a year has passed. Yes, I know the show does not pump out episodes at the same rate as Sisters. As I said, we are 126 into this show. Sisters, on the other hand, will be knocking on the door of 200 by the time we get to the end of season 9. But the Oval, no. Just no. I don't care. Yes, the show has debuted, 5 years ago? But in universe, there is no feasible way several months have passed. At best, I would say 1 month. But even so, I'm stretching that. I don't even think a month has passed by in this show. And this is coming from someone who has reviewed every single episode. And you know what? That's why I got so fed up with Ruthless. Not just because of the plot not moving anywhere, but I was so invested because it was similar to Zatima, marketed as a spinoff, as in, okay, you need to watch both shows to get the full story. But then it got to the point where Ruthless was just so behind. Wasn't it like Ruthless season 3 or 4 when Elder Mother told Ruth that Tally died? And she offed herself during like the first half of the Oval season 1. And then I remember Barry got abducted by the Rakadushi in the Oval season 2. And I don't think that was ever addressed in Ruthless, which was one reason why I gave the show up. I'm like, it's pointless watching this show because I thought it was a companion piece. And it's just like, yeah, it's a companion piece by association, but it doesn't seem worth the time to watch both shows if they're not really going to link up. Sure, you might have cameos every now and then, but even then the storylines don't match up. Case in point, Dale. Good Lord. But yeah, it's just, I have no idea how much time has passed in that series compared to the Oval because it just does not match up. That's the thing. Like, I remember for years, fans, including myself, wish that, man, I wish, if Loving You was wrong and the haves and the have-nots would cross over. And then when he went to Viacom and advertised shows like It's Sisters and Bruh, The Oval, and Ruthless, we're like, finally, companion piece shows that have a shared universe. But then he doesn't do the work necessary to keep these shows tied together. So, yeah, folks, this timeline makes absolutely no sense. And you can't fool me. You just can't.